How's it going, people? Salmon Slabber here, and this is a massive behind the scenes update, I guess. I'm going to cover this, so if you haven't actually seen it on the RuneScape homepage, I'd advise checking that out for all the full details. But I'm going to cover most of it here anyway, and kind of give you the ins and outs of what's actually going on in supposedly next week's update, which is going to be a huge one. So, let's go. You're probably wondering why I'm in God Wars Dungeon and why I'm flying around. Well, this update is all about the God Wars Dungeon. So, with that said, what are they actually planning on doing? So, they add in a brand new little feature to the God Wars Dungeon, which many of you, including myself, are very, very happy about. And it basically allows you to instance the God Wars Dungeon boss fights. Now what this means is, similar to the GWD and the Calphite King, you can go there and you gain access straight away, no one can crash you, there won't be people in there already, you don't have to wait around, etc, etc. Basically, it makes it a hell of a lot better. But because of the fact that it's going to be instance now, Jagex are worried that basically the player influx will increase, which means there'll be a hell of a lot more God Wars gear on the auction house, or the GE I should say. And basically it'll flood the market and they'll become worthless. Well, to combat this, they're actually going to charge you to create your own instance. Now this charge will be 200k for 1 hour inside the boss room, which granted isn't a massive amount, but it's not a small amount either, especially if you don't get any drops. Now, to kind of like even this out is the fact that it is actually instance, so it's all your boss, you're not going to be crashed. On top of that, you can bring in your party members or mates, your friends can come in. You can password protect the door to your instance, very similar to the Calphite King, which basically means you can have your own little group instance and you could actually rack up a fair amount of cash, which is pretty good, gotta be honest. Now on top of that, they've also introduced a hard mode. Now what this hard mode does is, well, for those of you who've completed the World Wakes quest, if you remember, you had to fight Armadillo and a few other God Wars bosses, and you've seen some other bosses whilst you was in there. Basically, they add the abilities they had in that World Wakes quest, all the abilities the bosses had, they'd actually have them in the God Wars Dungeon hard mode. So what this means is it's a much more difficult battle and you're more likely to take some hefty damage. Now the bonus to this is it's actually got higher yield cash-wise in drops. It's not necessarily going to be like the Armadillo pieces every single time or more often. The drop rates stay the same, but they add in higher yield drops overall. So for example, if you went to Zami and you normally get, what, 50 Landadines, something like that, well, that might be increased to say 70. So it's a large chunk of extra cash, which kind of warrants you going into the hard mode for the more difficult fight. You earn a slightly larger chunk of cash at the end of it. So yeah, that is what they're doing for the hard mode. That isn't the only thing you get from hard mode though. They've added a new item. It's not a weapon or an armor, so don't get your hopes up too high. But for those of you avid God Wars Dungeon fans who are always in there killing the bosses, you all know about the nasty grind of having to do your kill count every single time and takes up an immense amount of time. Well, in hard mode you've now got a new item which, once you get it in a drop, if it's in your inventory, you can get one for every single boss. When you kill the boss, it'll add a charge to said item. Now each one of these charges is an equivalent to 1 kill count. So let's say you do 1 trip and you kill 20 Saradomin bosses. Well, that's 20 kill count knocked off straight away for Saradomin. So you can leave Saradomin on that trip with your 20 charges in your stone, go back to the bank, refill all your inventory, come back up, make sure you've got your stone on you, and instantly 20 kill count is already done for you. So basically it helps you avoid the grind so you can stick to bossing that much more. So all in all, I think that is an absolutely amazing addition, because that is very annoying to do, having to get the kill count every single time. But there we go. That is pretty much it. For those of you who are thinking, wow, now I can't do God Wars without 200k entrance, don't worry, you can still do it the way it is now. all this instance parts and the hard mode, that's an addition. It's not replacing what you already have. So you can still go up to God Wars, still get your kill count as normal, and still go into, I guess you can call it the public area now, which is how it is right now in RuneScape, where you can have people in there already, people can crash you, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, you've still got that option. You don't have to pay the cash, although if you don't pay the cash, you do run the risk of possibly being ganked and people jumping in and stealing your kills, and you do get a higher yield in the instance. On top of that, if you are doing the hard mode, you do gain the chance of getting that stone and skipping the kill count kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of swings and roundabouts. It's good either way. It depends on what you want to do, to be totally honest. But all in all, I think this is an absolutely awesome addition to the God Wars dungeon. Unfortunately, Nex has not been included this time. They haven't mentioned exclusively that they're not going to do Nex, but they also haven't confirmed that Nex will be getting done as well. So yeah, hopefully Nex will be added to the list and they can add a hard mode for Nex. I think that would be pretty awesome. And very, very interesting, because it is Nex, so if that's instance, it would be a hell of a lot better, to be totally honest. So there we go, that is that part of the update. That is the God Wars update in a nutshell. Additionally, they're doing a lot of tweaks to the combat system. Now, if you've been on the forums, and you've been kind of watching the progress and all the feedback and stuff, then you would have known this already, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to tell you now. Basically what they're doing is they're going to change how your attack rating and armor rating affects how much you get hit, and conversely how much you can hit the enemy, accuracy wise. On top of that, it will increase your damage slightly depending on your stats. They're going to have a larger impact, so it kind of evens it out. So now when you're actually drinking an overload, it actually seems like you're gaining something from drinking the overload. Because of this, they're changing like the basic algorithm code, I guess, for the damage ratio to accuracy to defense, and because they're increasing it, the effects of potions and prayers that increase your attack and defense, their effects will also be increased. So pots and prayers are now a lot more potent than they used to be, or they will be after this update. But that's not the only thing they're doing for the combat and fighting side of things in RuneScape. They're also adding armor types. To explain this, they've now got a tank type armor, which will basically give you a set of armor which has got full HP bonus, or maximum HP bonus, and maximum armor bonus. They've also got a hybrid version which has got a lot lower HP and a lot lower armor, but allows you to attack with multiple forms of combat. And then you've got the offensive armor, I guess, which is slightly lower armor rating and slightly lower HP, but kind of buffs your damage kind of deal. Similar to how Torva and Pernix and all actually work now, where it gives you that damage bonus. But you'll have a tank version and things like that on top of it. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, because depending on your combat style, or if you are killing bosses with your friends, you can actually kind of build an actual party, similar to pretty much every single other MMO and RPG. So you would have a tank with a shield preferably to keep all of the hate on him, because he has the most armor, which means he gets damaged less. Meanwhile, you can have your other friends go on full out assault and just try to rip the boss down as quick as possible. So yeah, I think that is a pretty good update, to be totally honest. But that's not the only one coming next week, apparently. They've also edited the Charm Spirits minigame, or Charm Sprites I should say. And for those of you who have no idea what this minigame is, to be totally honest, I didn't even know it existed. But there we go. You need level 72 Hunter to do it, and you can do it just southwest of Tree Stronghold. And doing this, you basically hunt down sprites, you gain Hunter XP, and they also give you Charm Slices. Now with these Charm Slices, pre-update, you require 10 of these slices to obtain a charm. That's right, you can actually hunt and gain charms. But to make this more, I guess, fruitful, because not many people are doing it, they've changed it slightly. So instead of requiring 10 charm slices, you now only require 5 per charm. On top of that, they've also introduced a mystical charm slice, which if you're lucky can drop in addition to the coloured normal charm slices that you'd normally get, and they can be used in place of any coloured charm slice. So they kind of fill in the gaps for you. So if you've got like 4 blue charm slices, you can use one of these to just top it up to 5 and get your charm. They've also done some usability tweaks. All the trees in the area are gone, so shaking bushes containing the sprites are a lot easier to find, so that'll make it a bit easier. You can now apparently store the yak twee stick, spirit lure, and your charm slices with yak twee himself, which basically means when you want to do it, all of the gear you have is already there as long as you put it back. And to top it off, finally, if you manage to catch 1000 charm sprites and you speak to yak twee, he will upgrade your yak twee stick even. Don't ask me where that comes from. And basically the upgraded stick will give you a plus 5% hunter XP gain in any hunting training activity, as long as it allows you to wield the stick. It'll also give you an increased chance to uncover rare sprites while hunting charm sprites. So this, together with the Witch Doctor armor, which you can get from Herbal Habitat, along with the hunting potion and just going batshit crazy hunting the Jadingos, could actually increase your XP yield by about 30k an hour, because I think towards a high level you can get about 300k XP hunting per hour. So there we go. That'll increase an extra 5%, which is an extra 15k XP an hour. So that will save you some time, and is probably worth having a look at, to be totally honest. So yeah, if you've never actually used or seen or even done charm sprites before, I'd probably give it a go if I was you after this update comes along, because I'm sure I will, because that increased hunter XP and the fact that you can get charms from hunting is a pretty nice little addition. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Other news, they're preparing skilling tasks and they're sorting out the Combat Academy, and of course you do have the new quest, which still hasn't been announced yet, depending on which one it's going to be. It could be an extension of the Pirates, Dwarfs or Gnome quests. So hopefully when that comes out I'll be able to chuck up the guide straight away, or at least the day after. I've done all the Pirate quests and all the Dwarf quests are also complete. I still have one Gnome quest left though. So hopefully it's not the Gnome quest coming out, otherwise that means I'm going to have to try and rush to get both of those quests done, which is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. But either way, I will get that done for you. So keep an eye on the channel. As soon as these stuff comes out, I'm sure I'll cover it. Should be a laugh. And until next time, I will catch you all later. Hope you all enjoyed.